Today we are starting seeds using a Jiffy natural and organic seed starting mix. We're also using a Ferri Morse ProHex professional seed starting tray. Now you can use whatever tray you want or whatever seed starting mix you want, but these are the ones we're using, and you'll find links in the description below. So when you're using seed starting mix, one of the things to remember is that it comes in the bag a little bit drier than you want it to be for seeds. And so if you really want it to hold that water in and be a perfect material to grow seeds in, you've got to add water. So here we are, and we're just going to add some water. And then when we think we've got probably about enough water, you want to just really get your hands into it and start working that soil until you've got it all mixed together. And if you don't think you really have enough water yet, feel free to add more water to it. You want your end product to be something that you could probably wring some water out of if you really squeezed it tight, but that isn't actually a liquid. It still has more of that spongy texture. And we'll just speed this up a bit. Now we're going to, after we have this to a good consistency, pull out the actual seed starting tray and just slip off that cardboard on it. And it's a very basic tray. You'll see there are 3 layers to the tray, and you can just separate them by lifting off that top layer. And then there is that dome that you're eventually going to use to cover the seeds. We'll get back to that later. And once it is out, you have just this nice tray under there that is going to hold water that would leak down out of your seed starts, but also it's perfect if you want to do some bottom watering when you've got your seed starts in there. You don't have to pour in where the actual cells are. You just lift that up a little bit and can pour into that reservoir, and eventually your roots are going to reach down into there and pull out the water. So it's a great system for allowing your roots to develop and reach out and get whatever water or nutrients you might put down there. So now you've got your prepared seed starting mix, and you're just going to put it into each hole. You're going to want to eventually pack it down so it's fairly firm, so there's not a lot of air and openings in there. And just try to fill in every single hole as best you can, because you're going to try to put seeds in every one of these. If you want to leave one hole open for ease of watering so you don't have to do that thing where you lift the tray up, that's fine. You can leave one hole open to put more water in. I like to fill them all because I like to have a lot of plants, but ultimately it's up to you. It's your tray. And once you've got it all pretty much filled in, you're just going to want to try to level it out as much as possible, get some of the excess off of there, push down and make sure everything's firmed up, and ultimately that you're ready to go and plant the seeds however you're going to be planting them. And that leads me to my next discussion. Always, always, always label your plants. When you're doing it, it feels like, I'm not going to forget. I know exactly what plants I put in there. I know I put in 2 tomato plants, and these are the 2 types of tomatoes. But trust me, in time you'll forget. So I do this. I create a grid. I sometimes do it in an Excel, or sometimes I do it by hand like here. And you basically just have, I have A down one side, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then 1 through 12 above that. And then I decide how I'm going to do seeds. Now here you see I have Tresca strawberries. They were packed low, or they were overpacked due to low germination rates from Baker Creek. Sometimes when they test and they have low germination rates, they just give extra. So I'm going to want to make sure that I'm putting at least 3 seeds into every single hole. And I'm going to actually start an entire column of seeds here. But because there's a 32% germination rate, I want 3 seeds in every single hole. And the reason I'm doing a whole column is just because I want that many strawberry plants, and I'll actually put in other types of strawberries here too. Now just to be clear, the probably official recommendation would not be to put strawberries and lots of other things all in the same big seed tray, because they're all going to have different rates of germination. But I like to use a big seed tray for lots of different types of seeds and just kind of adapt to the situation when I'm in it. So here I am planting out those strawberry seeds down the left side, and I'm really just comfortable with setting up a good system where I don't have the possible bleed over. So I'm going to have strawberry seeds down the left side, but then the next row isn't going to be strawberry seeds because I don't want to possibly have one spill over and not know which variety is which. So I'm going to mark here just all the way down that column that I planted those Tresca strawberries. So I'll just write in Tresca or Tresca strawberry all the way down that row so I can keep track of it. And additional strawberry plants will be in different, I'm saying rows, I guess technically they're columns. So it'll be in a different column that I'm ultimately putting the additional strawberry plants. So I'll just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then here in the 5th row is where I'm going to put my extra strawberry seeds. And while I'm planning these out, let me just take a moment to say, yes, here I am growing strawberry plants from seeds. I've done this before, and I've had good success with actually the Tresca strawberry. And I ended up killing some of them by letting the garden bed get too weeded over. So now I'm going to be doing more planting. And not just the Tresca, but also these seeds, which are Temptation strawberry seeds. And I think I also had some Alpine. The Alpine might have actually been the ones I planted in the middle. And then finally, I'm going to put some Sugar Rush peach seeds in here. When I say finally, I'm just going to show you the seeds that I'm planting out, long columns of seeds. There'll be individual 1 or 2 cells for a lot of other things, including a lot of tomatoes, even some of the tomatoes that we did on our seed giveaway, including the Abe Lincoln tomato and the Amana orange tomato. Also the peppers we did in our giveaway, our hot red cherry pepper and the Cubanelle pepper also got planted out in this seed starting tray. So it's a great opportunity when you have 72 cells. For a lot of home gardeners, that will be enough to do a lot with. And I know obviously many of us can overplant, but a 72 cell tray really does afford a tremendous amount of opportunity. So I always like planting out these, whether I get the peat pot ones or I get these that I'm using seed starting mix. Either way, it tends to work pretty well. And you may remember we actually did a video where we tested whether you needed to use seed starting mix or whether you could use just regular soil. And I'll link to it above and in the description below so you can take a look at that experiment. But I do tend to use seed starting mix, so that might give you a little hint. Here's a fun one I haven't grown for a few years. It's called the Chinese 5-color pepper, and it actually starts with purple peppers, but then has all those other colors. I'm not sure I've grown it since I've had the channel, so we'll make sure to show it to you this year when we grow it. And then let's go ahead and flash forward to after these seeds have started. After promising to get back to the concept of how to use that lid, I forgot to film it. But luckily, I already did a video on a Jiffy professional greenhouse, which is the thing that has the little peat pellets in it, but the lid is virtually the same. The concept is that you're just trapping in that moisture. And if you want to see me putting it on one of these, then go there just after the 5-minute mark. I'll link to the video above here and in the description below, and you can watch me putting it on. But it's pretty simple. You just put that dome on and it helps hold in the moisture, and as soon as you start seeing anything turn green, you want to take it off so that they don't get disease or something. And here we are just a few days later, and this would be about 3 days, and you obviously see there's just that little, you see that white fluffy stuff? That's actually the beginning of a root. And you can see a lot of these things have little roots. And oh, our basil seeds. Do you see how the basil has kind of formed that gel around it? There's some more basil seeds. And we actually have a video too on why that goo forms around the basil. See those little roots popping out there? That's the most exciting thing, and you can take that cover off. You should have that plastic dome just sitting on top of here until you start seeing some of that stuff pop through. Here we are just 4 days later, a total of 7 days after originally planting the seeds, and you see some of those green tops really already there. So you want to make sure you're already under a light source, and I like to just mist the top to make sure that it stays moist while keeping the reservoir of water below also filled, and that'll just do a great job for getting your seeds going. This video was filmed in mid-February. If you'd like to see how the seeds are doing now in April, click here. And please do subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And here are some other videos that you might also like to check out.